Some say he was a radical Jew. No doubt he taught us all by example what our conscience says we should do. Like we want to be treated ourselves is the way to treat our sister and brother. It's the key to human and civil rights.
Well, everyone, how you doing? This is Torcaso coming to you live November the 5th, 2013. And of course, the title is Humanity Matters, We Win. So let's get right to the business at hand. Usually I give you some announcements, but you know what? I will give you one announcement. From now on, when you tune into Humanity Matters, there's a couple of things I want you to be ready to do. First of all, I want you to be ready to call 412-231-2288. I want you to have that in your mindset. Second of all, you want to have a notepad, the old traditional notepad, or you want to have your wireless device, cell phone, whatever, so that you can actually take notes from what you hear on this particular program. The other thing you want to do, if you're able to, is record this program. And if for some reason you can't record it, remember that on Wednesdays at noon, we have a rebroadcast. Now, how soon after the live broadcast does it go into the rebroadcast? That's hard to say because it's kind of a random thing at times, but you will be able to see this again. And of course, I also place this show on, this episode on humanitymatters.org and also on YouTube. And in addition to that, sometimes I have internet-only exclusives on humanitymatters.org or YouTube. It's youtube.com/user/Albert Torcaso, Torcaso. So we also put it on, I put it on personally on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and the like. So you'll be able to get this information in some form. Now, why I keep telling you get your notebooks or get a pen or get ready to call is because I made a commitment, a conscious commitment, from the day I started this show to help improve lives. And most of the time throughout the last 10 years, I've been talking about the news, telling you the truth about what's behind the news and what have you. And as of the last year, I've been concentrating on helping you to earn an extra income. That's not going to stop. Some of today will be about that. Some of today is going to be changing your perception of things. And some of today is going to be talking about what I believe to be a bad idea, which is ending bus service for the most part in downtown Pittsburgh. Now, you may live in a different city. You might say, well, that's not relevant to me. But let's think about, there are other cities who have discontinued or made certain stops only be in their downtown. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about if we're going to try to learn how to earn additional income. There are some people who are needs-based disabled who have a limit on that, so we're going to address that as well. As a matter of fact, a couple of my viewers were trying to get in, calling in a few months ago on a show to ask that very question. So what if I'm disabled and I'm on Social Security? How do I get to do this? And we're going to get to those points today. So when I tell you, write this down, record this show, what you have to understand is I'm trying to start a revolution, a financial, educational, total mindset change or rewashing or reprogramming of our brain revolution. It's legal, it's peaceful, but trust me when I tell you, I have an agenda, and my agenda is improving your life. Now, there's certain things I can't say because it makes me look like I'm advertising, and heck, somebody may say it is. So there's certain things I can't tell you. That's why it's incredibly important that you start investigating things on your own. If you don't know how to do it, you can always email me and say, hey, Al, I wanted to find out more about this. I went to the library. The librarian didn't exactly know how to tell me what to look for. Well, you know what? You have access to me 24 hours a day. You can email me anytime, any place you want on the face of the earth. And I will give you my personal email address. I have a few of them, but the one that right now I've been checking every day is lbiz22h@gmail.com. Don't worry, I know I talk fast. You didn't get a chance to write it down. It's in the credits. So stay for the entire credits, even if I get on your last nerve. Now, here's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, snakes and squirrels. I'm here to improve your life and mine. Mine. Now, a lot of people say that's an impossible task. But let me tell you something. The only reason why they say that is they want to brainwash you into believing that. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Not necessarily in that kind of way. But right now, we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, here we go. Here we go, Steve. No, I'm sorry, I can't help myself. Okay, look. Let me make a little bit of disclosure here. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers football team. As a matter of fact, I love it when they win the Super Bowl. I like the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh Pirates, you know, I'm not really a baseball fan, but I'm proud of the fact they finally had a winning season and they even got to the playoffs. Hey, I'm proud of them for that. But, you know, I want to throw something at you. If you're a sports fan, you're probably going to want to throw something at the TV and cuss me out. Hey, you know what? You want to cuss me out? 412-231-2288. Now, don't swear because we'll cut you off. You'll hear me say the words, hey, forget about it. If I say forget about it, that means we're either moving on to another call because we have another call or we're getting busy, you know, with things here we got to do. Or maybe you said the F word. So don't say the F word. But I'm going to have almost every sports fan probably pissed off at me in about a minute. And I hope that you are upset. But you won't be as upset with me after I give you the hamburgers and french fries and the spinach. You're going to be like, hey, you know, he got a good point. So let's get to the full course meal right now. Here it goes. The Pittsburgh Steelers had the worst ever score on them this past Sunday. They lost 55-31. Worst. And we will get to that call very soon, I promise. It was the worst score they have ever had in their entire history. Now, I'm not willing to give up and say they have a losing season. I'm giving them another week, one more week. If they lose any more games, I'm going to have to revise my prediction. But I believe that the Steelers are going to come back and they are going to at least win a few games. Playoffs, probably, well, let's put it this way. They can, technically, if they win every last game, have a chance at the playoffs. But realistically, their mindset and their physical injuries will probably keep them from being in the playoffs this year. But we're not worried about the Pittsburgh Steelers in this case. We're worried about ourselves. So let's get to the first call, and I think we're going to let Annette answer that call.
Okay, caller, you're on.
Hi, it's Diane. It's just me.
Hi, Diane.
Hello, Diane.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's an easy one. What do you think the Steelers are going to beat Buffalo this week, Al?
Diane, I think the Steelers, if they play the way they could and should be playing, yeah, I think they could beat Buffalo. Do I think they will? That depends on their mentality right now. It depends on how they are psychologically feeling. So my answer is I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Steelers. I say the Steelers win by a field goal. I know I'm going out on a limb here, but, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say Steelers by 3. Now, if you let me down, Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to be calling your front office and telling you about it. What's the next question, Diane?
Do you think he'll win tonight, the election?
Say what?
Bill Paluto, you think he'll win tonight the election?
I do believe he will have a victory tonight. I will go ahead and predict that, but that's all I want to say.
The Penguins play on Wednesday.
Say what?
The Penguins play Wednesday.
Well, we're not worried about that. So, Diane, we're going to go ahead and move ahead, and I'm going to use that wonderful line. Forget about it. Sorry, Diane, but we're not here to talk about the Penguins. I mean, no offense, Penguins, but, we're going to try and change lives here. So, now, getting back to the business at hand. And by the way, callers, I do want your calls, and no, I'm not just going to hang up on you. I answered Diane's call, and I answered her questions. The problem is that she kind of went a little bit of overdoing it with, telling us a personal thing. The Penguins are going to play on Wednesday. That's nice. But that ain't getting me any money in my pocket or you. So let's get back to the Steelers losing streak. Now, you might think I'm harping on the Steelers and I'm being tough on them. Wait till you see why. So here we go, Pittsburgh. If we have any calls, let me know. Do we really still have another call waiting? If we have another call waiting, caller, here you go. We're clear. Okay, we're good. Oh, now we get to talk about the Steelers losing streak. Ain't that great? Okay, for all my Pittsburgh Steelers fans, hey, I'm a Steeler fan. Do I want them to win the Super Bowl? You better believe it. I want them to win the Super Bowl every single year. But here we go. Now, this is where I want you to change the way you think. And I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. In fact, I want you to read certain books, The Power of Positive Thinking. Read books by Norman Vincent Peale. And what's the other gentleman's name?
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. And Socrates and all these people, great writers. We need to change the way we think. And here's where I'm harping on the Steelers. The Steelers are having a losing streak. But how many times have teams that you liked, and this is for anybody on the globe, your favorite sports team lost? They had a losing streak. They let you down. And you got depressed over it. Heck, you might have even gotten mad, and in some cases, people have even committed suicide or violence. All because their teams lost. Now that's because we are loyal, dedicated, and like or love our sports teams. And that comes from a certain mentality and upbringing that we all have. But here's what I want to ask you. And I want you to sit back and think about this for a minute. If the Steelers were to win the Super Bowl this year and become the best team of all time permanently and always, every single year, won the Super Bowl, some miraculous way. I know that would never happen, but let's pretend that it did. Let's say the Steelers won the next 10 Super Bowls and they were so popular and so famous and so great that everybody on the planet was like, yeah, I would like to live in Pittsburgh. That's where they always win the Super Bowl. Okay. Let's pretend that the Steelers are the best team and will be the best team for the rest of history. My question to you is this. Did their winning put one crumb of food on your table? Did their winning put a penny in your pocket? Did their winning pay for your college education or your child's college education? Do they give you free tickets? Now, Pittsburgh residents, we as taxpayers paid to have Heinz Field made. We put a lot of money toward it. We paid a portion to have PNC Park made. And, of course, the Consol Arena. Together, we put out, I don't know, maybe $1.5 billion or more. Now, here's what you need to ask yourself. We paid for millionaire sports store, millionaires to have their sports teams remain in our city, and they were able to get essentially a low cost or free building made for their team, and we paid, us Pittsburghers, every Pittsburgh resident paid a portion in our taxes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember even one day, ever since those stadiums and baseball fields and coliseums, or not coliseums, but arenas, I don't remember even one game, regular season game, where every single city resident was able to go to a game for free. I don't remember every single city resident having to pay to get into the game, but getting just one day, getting every single concession for free. As a matter of fact, we don't usually ever get anything for free, and we're going to get this call. We don't usually get anything for free with the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, or any team. Now, yes, they do give out some token stuff, but then here's what makes it even worse. Now, in every occasion, you're limited to the kind of snacks you can bring into that stadium, that baseball field, that arena. So you're putting out even more money. So what I am getting at is this. Professional sports teams have a drain on your income. They do not really appreciate you, and they don't reward you. And in reality, it's a disgrace and an abomination when you consider how much money personally we put out to make these stadiums, baseball fields, and arenas. But with that, we're going to get back to that. But we're going to answer this call. So caller number 2, you're on the air with Albert. Ain't going to take no BS, Torcaso.
Torcaso.
That's right.
Torcaso.
Torcaso.
How you doing? My name is Jim Robinson.
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good.
I'm with ACTC, Allegheny County Transit Council.
Oh, good. Well, you know what? We were going to get to that bus business in the next segment, but since you called in now, we'll just go back to the Steelers a little bit later, and we'll get back to the ACTC thing.
Well, the Steelers, you know, it'll be about 2 years. We have to regroup.
Well, you know, what the bottom line is, I am actually talking about changing our lives financially later on down the line, because the fact is the only thing the Steelers does for us is takes our money. I mean, I like the Steelers, but they only take our money.
That's a little harsh. Don't you love the Steelers?
I like the Steelers, but they do only take our money, right?
We know Ray Seals.
No.
At any rate,
No.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
This plan with the buses leaving down the main part of downtown, what do you know, and what's your opinion?
Well, there's not a plan. A study hasn't even been conducted yet. So that's the misnomer that that the public was, fed erroneously. Nobody has said there was going to be a plan. It's a study that has not begun yet. Okay. Yeah, that's, that was released a little earlier and what it should be, and the county executive, acknowledged that nothing is cast in stone at this point because a study hasn't ever been done. What's your take on it?
Well, I would say that my problem with any study would be okay, but to actually eliminate buses would be, I believe, very, how do I put it? I'm going to be blunt, very incompassionate, because there's a lot of people who, let us just say they went to a central location. Let's say that they had bus stops at the existing subway stations or light rail transit systems. That would be, in theory, that would be okay, but what about the people who have a hard time walking, the disabled Americans who can't walk, and how do they go from maybe 3 or 4 blocks or even 5 or 6 blocks. So I think it's an ill-conceived idea. However, I do see a way that it could work in as much
well,
as.
that's the idea. That's the ideal. And,
Right.
we share your concerns at the council, ACTC, okay?
Right.
And that's why there has to be there has to be a comprehensive study to see what the feasibility are and see what the alternatives are.
Well, I think I already came up with an alternative. If they're not happy with the larger buses,
Mm-hmm.
what I would suggest is they can have the centralization, say like at the subway stations, light rail transit stations,
Yes.
and have smaller shuttles, the shuttle buses, so that people can go to the main part of downtown on these
Yes.
shuttle buses. Or at the very least, they should, at the very least, provide those shuttle buses for people who have a doctor's verification or certification that they are disabled, and that having them do this extra walking would be dangerous to their health. Because I think
agree
the
with
idea
you.
of
I
forcing
agree with
people.
you, and that's an excellent alternative that I'm sure it would be one of the topics that would be studied. Yeah.
Well, Jim, this isn't that. Do you think they're just threatening people again? Do you think they're really going to follow through with this?
Well, they're going to follow through with a study. As I said, there is no plan
Right.
because the study hasn't been done yet.
So let me ask you, how long do they anticipate this study will take?
Well, I don't know because it hasn't been framed. As I said, that
Right.
I don't, it hasn't been framed yet.
Okay.
So no timetable, no critical path has been developed yet.
Okay, well, let me formally invite you and members of ACTC, when you do get some more information, to
Okay.
actually be guests on the live show in here, and we can talk about it. But I do know one thing. What I don't want to see happen is the disabled American or Pittsburgh resident go through more obstacles. We don't need that.
We are 100% attuned with your position. Yes. I
Okay.
agree.
Well, I appreciate you
And
calling
at
in.
some point in time, we'd be happy to, when we got more information and whatnot, we'd be happy to, sit down with you.
Well, yeah, and then what we'll do is, my sister,
Yes.
so if you can contact her, she can give you my phone number. We don't want to do that
Okay.
on the air because everybody and their mother might call me some names. They might,
No.
especially after the way I was mean to the Steelers, they might call me some words we won't say here, but it's, and let me just say for the record.
Yeah. Keep
know.
up the good work here.
All right, thanks a lot. You have a nice night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. That's get about a time.
Does he
Here
know
you go. He's a
Diane?
No comment on personal stuff. No comment. Well, I'm glad to hear that Jim had actually called in, because that's important. And again, let me just say that if they're going to have this study, that's fine. But ultimately, any kind of study and results need to definitely include what kind of impact it will have on the needs-based disabled. I might add that it needs to have an impact on how it will affect the working poor. And the idea of buses not being there, to me it seems almost in some ways, and this is just my personal opinion, like they're trying to force people to exercise, which in theory is great. If you want to exercise, in theory, that sounds kind of cool. But there are a lot of people who can't or won't. And I fall under the not won't, but almost to the can't to a point. I'm building up to it. I'm actually working on losing weight. We won't go there. But I actually have been doing some exercise. And I am on an exercise and nutritional plan. But that doesn't mean that I think that we should go ahead and make people walk all over the city of Pittsburgh. Now, I'm glad that it's just in the study form, or going to be a study. So with that, for the people who were concerned about the buses, they had given me some feedback. I think right now we're on in a holding pattern, and now that we've spoken to Jim, we're really in a great position, because now we're gonna be able to have and bring to you, the viewer, information as we get it. So we just made a great connection for all of us. But let's get back to the Steelers for a minute. It seems as if I don't like sports teams, but that's not it. We have another call, but we're going to have to hold that call for a minute. And that's not it. See, what I'm getting at is, I'll get to that call in a second. What I'm getting at is that we don't get anything out of it other than the pleasure. We lose money. And other than the pleasure, we're really taking a financial loss. So I want us to start thinking about us winning, us becoming better physically and financially. So I want us in the equation. So I'm going to get this call, and then I'm going to go into different areas of tonight. But here's the main thing. Instead of us always cheering on sports teams, being emotional about whether they win or lose, let us start rethinking how we feel about it and realizing, whether they win or lose, the Pittsburgh Steelers today are millionaires. Every player is a millionaire or going to be a millionaire within 3 years. Every single one. If they lose the rest of the season, they're going to wake up the next day after that season's over, millionaires. What about you? Are you a millionaire? And if you're not a millionaire, you need to be tuning into this show. And why do you need to tune into this show? Because we want to change some things. But you know what? I believe caller 3 is on the line, so I think Annette got some business to take care of here.
Caller 3, you're on.
Hi, Al. It's
Hey,
Patty.
how's it going?
Hi.
Oh, it's going well. I just wanted to get back, ask you a question about the Steelers.
All right.
Am I right or wrong about this? Don't they bring money into the area, like they create jobs and like for the restaurants in downtown and parking?
Yes and no, but see, that's the big brainwashing of the American people. We believe that just because a certain number of revenues coming into the city or cities or states or even the United States, that somehow that benefits us directly. What we don't realize is, even if, let's say you were able to get a job because the Steelers actually provided a job. Let's say, okay, you got a job. But then I want you to think about, you have to analyze everything that goes with it. How much are you earning in that job? That's one thing. Does that job provide you with benefits with medical care? How long is that job going to last? What type of level is that job? And really, what is the Pittsburgh Steelers or even so-called nonprofit hospitals who claim to hire people and donate a certain amount of money, how much money are they actually profiting overall? And what ratio does that come to the American people or the city residents? So in other words, I'll give you an example to make it a little bit easier. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, or let's use somebody else. Let's say that I'm the, I don't know, make up I'll just on the spot make up a business. We'll call it the Corporation of America's Iron Workers or something. I'm just making up a name. Well, if they're donating $5 million in terms of hiring people or donating, but they're making $100 million and they're getting that $5 million as a tax write-off and possibly even getting a subsidy, then in reality, that's the big brainwash that's going on with the public. Because in reality, they're not really doing in proportion to what they're getting, they're not really being as charitable. That doesn't mean that they don't help the United Way. Sure they do. Do they help a lot of charities? Sure they do. But at the same time, what is the ratio? How much profit are they really making? These are the things that Pittsburgh residents and people around the globe should be looking into. Every team, every nonprofit that is making more than $1 million or more than 10 million. Because in reality, what's going on is we as a people are being brainwashed and programmed to think a certain way. So if 100,000 jobs were made, but at such a low ratio that helps you, it's not really helping you. But let's go off that for 1 minute. I'll give you an example. There is a big box store that is considered one of the highest employers in America. They employ like one of the most, I'm not articulating it correctly, but they're one of the companies that hire the most people in America. And they do a lot of charitable work. But what most Americans don't realize is that most of the people a large majority of the people working for that big box store is actually receiving medical care from the state or the federal government and or food stamps because they're considered the working poor. Now, here's the question you have to ask yourself. Why is it that a store that is making hundreds of billions of dollars year-round can't afford to give their employees benefits? And the answer is they don't want to. They want more profit. So, Patty, I believe that was your question. And yes, they are helping.
Well,
but not
really
enough.
Helped me about that. You really helped me about that brainwashing about the teams, because I never thought of it that way. And just on the radio, because the Pirates were in the playoffs, they say, "Oh, millions of dollars came into the city," but
Right.
I didn't see any in my pocket.
It didn't
and I
come in
never
your
thought
pocket,
of
did
that
it?
way. Thank you for helping me.
Well, you're welcome, Patty. You have to understand what I'm doing with all these shows, and I hope you're still on there, Patty.
Yes, I
I'm
am.
trying to get us to think differently, but more importantly, to change our lives. So, the bottom line is, at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I love the Steelers. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a Steelers fan. Ask Annette. I was watching, I was like, come on! Okay, and believe me, I get like that too. I'm like, oh, come on already. Okay, I'm like that too, but I started to think this about 5 or 6 years ago. I'm like, wait a minute. When they win the Super Bowl, what's it doing for me? And then I started thinking, wouldn't it be better if we concentrated on our own futures? And again, now I don't know if I'm right on the numbers with the charitable and how much people are being paid, but you got to look into that. You got to learn how to learn to get that information. If I get it, I'll bring it to future shows. Because here's what's going on, Patty. We're programmed to believe that all these great things are going on. And yeah, maybe the city's making 10, 15, 20 million dollars, but did the city lower people's property tax as a result? Did the city decide to bother to give us free parking for a week? No. So you're not benefiting. And what I'm saying is, let's learn how to benefit in our lives. That's my big thing. And that's what we're going into right after I'm done speaking with you, Patty. I'm going to get into how we can change our lives financially. And I have some exciting news for everybody. If you don't know how to use a computer, by the time I'm done tonight, you're going to want to go out and learn. That's a promise. That's a promise.
Well, I'll be anxious to hear the rest of the show then now.
Well, God bless you, and take notes if you can, and thanks for everything, Patty.
God
Good night,
bless you.
Patty.
Bye.
God bless you, and good night, and forget about it. I have to say forget about officially. Oh, jeez. All right, guys, look. I just said if you hate computers, you're going to start loving them. Pretty bold statement, right? But you do know I'm Al Torcaso, right? And let me say one more thing about the Steelers. Look, I will always be a Steelers fan. I will always be a Penguins fan. Even when I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, I'm going to be a Steelers fan, and I'm going to be a Penguins fan, and probably even a Pirates fan, a little bit. Sorry, Pirates, I'm not really into baseball. A little bit, but I'm not really into baseball, okay? But here is what I'm saying. We have to change the way we think as a human race, and especially as Americans. Because the reality is, a lot of times, we actually have things that are good for us, and we go against them because of what we are trained to believe and what we're lied to and deceived on. And we may actually be able to change our lives and get out of poverty, and yet we're against the very thing that could take us there. So over the next, hopefully the next 6 months to a year or more, we're going to be we're going to be rethinking let me change it. We're going to be reprogramming our brain. For those people who have paranoid schizophrenia or mental illness, when I say we're going to be rechanging our brain, I want you to be open to it. It's not to hurt you. I would not hurt you. I love you. In a spiritual way, I love everybody, even the people that hate my guts. Yes, I love the Steelers too, all right? But we're going to reprogram the way we think. And when we do, amazing things are going to happen in your life. You're going to start getting more inspired. You're going to get healthier. You're going to learn how to become financially freer. Now, I can't promise you'll make a penny. And I'm not advertising, so don't worry. But what I can promise, you will have an opportunity that you do not have today. Now, one thing I have to do, I actually have to not talk about the computer and how you're going to possibly earn money until Annette presents some very important information that is absolutely 1,000% critical that you get on board and support what she's about to say. It's a million% important. And now to Annette Mendel.
Hi, everybody. I would like you to go to Al's.
Not that part, no, cut. The healthcare business.
Oh, I want to read to you something that the president said in Boston last Wednesday. It's about the healthcare law. And because of the competition between insurers and the new healthcare tax credits, most people will be able to buy better plans for the same price or even cheaper than what they've gotten before. Now, some Americans with higher incomes will pay more on the front end for better insurance with better benefits and better protections that could eventually help them a lot, even if right now they'd rather be paying less. Now, to me, Obamacare is the law of freedom. Do you agree, Al?
Yes, I do. Let me explain something. Let's get back to this. We're going to get to the computer thing. We still have like almost 20 minutes. Obamacare is not perfect. Obamacare, and I don't even like calling it that, but that's what everybody else believes it's called anyway. The Affordable Health Care, the American Affordable Health Care Act, also known as Obamacare, is a law of freedom. Every single American, I don't care how conservative you are, how wealthy you are, if you believe in the foundation of our nation, that everybody for justice and freedom and justice for all, if you've ever said the Pledge of Allegiance, if you have ever believed anything that you actually heard or said on the 4th of July, you need to be for the Obamacare law. If it's costing you money, if it's making you mad, you still need to be for this law. And if you're thinking about throwing something at me, you know what, even better yet, give me a call, 412-231-2288. You have to be in love with this law. If you are an American and you believe in everybody has equal rights and everybody can have a chance at the American dream, you have to fall in love with this law. I don't care who you are. I want you to call Republicans and say, don't touch this law. And I want you to get mad. Be polite. Don't make any threats, but get mad. Say, hey, you don't touch this law. Why would I say such a thing? Yeah, it's screwing up Yeah, the website's a disaster. Hey, there might have even been some really bad things. And I'm not thrilled with some of the things the president has changed. But this law is an emancipation and freedom law. Make no mistake, this isn't because I'm in love with this law. This is a law of freedom. This is a law of emancipation. This is a law that can help you get financial success and freedom. Now, you may not believe me. You may think I'm full of hot water. But I guarantee it, you're about to find out the truth. Now look, why I say that is this. This law has something that no matter how bad it is, it has something in it that saves lives, that changes lives, and guarantees you have a chance to become a rich person. What? How can this law do that? I know you might be thinking that's why I do that. I'm not being ignorant. You might be thinking, how can this law make me rich? Well, here we go. Let's say you're a disabled, needs-based disabled American on Social Security or SSI or welfare or something like that. You have a limit of $2,000 that you can have. You cannot have an IRA. You cannot have a Roth IRA. You can't have more than $2,000 in the bank. You are not allowed to have a retirement. Period. You're not allowed. Okay? But with this law, you have an opportunity. Let's say you get on the internet and do what I tell you in a couple of minutes, and next thing you know, you're having a couple of dollars come in, and maybe somewhere down the line, you're learning how to make a couple hundred and so on and so forth. Well, as long as you're a needs-based disabled American, you're going to either lose that Social Security, SSI, whatever, or they're going to try to get you to pay it back. But we're not going to let that happen now, are we? No, we're not. Because we're going to know what time it is. With that law, you start earning money on the internet or a job or outside and who knows where. If you start earning money, with this law, you can go to Social Security and say, okay, I'm earning an income. I would like you to take me off SSI. And before this law, you couldn't get health care because you had a pre-existing condition. And because of that, you were literally forced to stay on Social Security because you couldn't get health care coverage at any cost. So basically, you were imprisoned to be poor the rest of your life if you had a disability or if you had a pre-existing condition and you were needs-based disabled. And you would never get more than $2,000 in your bank at one time. That was until 2010 when this law passed. Now here's what goes down. I'm going to give you a little old roadmap. This is what you do. You start getting these books I've been telling you, The Power of Positive Thinking, and these other books. You learn. You get on the internet. You check out all my other stuff on the internet, and you learn. And then you have a chance at starting to earn an income. And there's even ways to do it free. And heck, I'll even tell you how you can do some of these things for free. But I'm not allowed to tell you on this show. You're going to have to get on the internet. You got no choice on that. You have no choice. Get your friends. Get a cell phone. Get a smartphone. Get a freaking, iPad. Go to the library. Get on the internet. Check out my talk shows. Or just do a Google on Albert Torcaso. Or go to YouTube and look me up. Doesn't matter. Or go and look up other people. I don't care how you do it. But when you start learning how to earn an income, you go off to Social Security and you say, I want to be taken off. But even before you do that, you contact your congressman or senator or congresswoman and you get signed up for Obamacare. Now, the reason is you can get better health care than is provided by Medicaid, or equal to it at least. You're going to have to pay for it. But what are you going to get in exchange for that? Well, what you're going to get is you're going to leave Social Security. And you're going to be making, who knows, maybe $1,000 a month, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, who knows? There is no limit once you learn. So yes, it is scary what I'm telling you to do. You're going to have to decide, am I willing to leave my safety net? But see, I'm not asking you to do that now, but once you start making this money, you actually have another option. You can earn that money, make sure you have enough for that month or the next 2 months or 6 months, then go to Social Security and say, you know what? I'll pay you back little by little, make a payment arrangement, but get off Social Security, because at that time, you can then have your health care plan from Obamacare or these exchanges or what have you. What we're talking about is you now have a chance to no longer be doomed to only make $600, $700 a month and be on Social Security. This law, the Obamacare law, is a freedom emancipation law. And anybody, I will argue with any member of Congress, I would argue with even a president, I would argue with any scholar, anybody in the history wants to come here and face Albert Torcaso, I'll tell you why it's a freedom law, because it is. And you can argue, you can cry, you can get mad, but it is what it is. If you want to change your life, you need to get involved with keeping this law in place. We do have a call. I'm ready for action. This is Al Torcaso on the call.
Hello, Al.
Hello, I'm right here. What are you doing with round two?
I have a question. Is this healthcare stuff, is this good for hospitals or everywhere you're talking about?
The Affordable Health Care Act will provide you ways to go to both hospitals. It will help seniors eliminate their out-of-pocket cost for prescrition drugs.
Is this healthcare thing like insurance or not insurance?
Yes, it is insurance. It's exactly what it's multiple different types of insurance. I mean, different companies. It's basically providing as good or better health care than most people on SSI get today. Yes, it is health insurance. And I suggest you find out more about it.
No, I mean, how about the rich people? Do they get this healthcare stuff too?
Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, most of the wealthy people have a much better plan than most of us. So
Well,
yes,
why
they
is
do.
that? So why don't you explain that why?
Well, I don't have enough time to explain all of it, but if you have the money and you don't have a pre-existing condition.
The guy who called named Jim, he does know me because I gave him the number.
Okay, well, right now, Diane, we're going to move forward. We're going to have to cut that off. Forget about it. I love you, but forget about it. I only have a couple of minutes. Okay, everybody, listen. I didn't mean to rush Diane, but we have 10 minutes. So let's sum up this real quickly. When you start learning how to reprogram your brain and learning how to earn an income, your next job is to go and find out about all of the Obama Affordable Health Care Acts, Obamacare plans. Get yourself signed up to one once you leave Social Security, because that is going to let you have a life. What can you do? Well, you could start saving money in a 401k. You could start saving money in a Roth IRA. And quite frankly, you could save enough money to start buying gold, which is going between $1,300 and $1,600 or more dollars per ounce. So if you had a pound of gold, you'd have about $20,000. So that's what you can do. Now, yes, it's going to be scary. You're going to have to learn more. And 1 hour on a talk show ain't going to do it. So that's why I say get online and learn. There is billions of pieces of information for free. And I'm going to give you a gift of information right here, right now. Every Thursday, for the last 2 Thursdays, and this Thursday coming up, we are doing a podcast on TalkShoe.com, Humanity Matters Podcast, TalkShoe.com, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the one and only Joe Chance. And we're going to teach you how to be a professional blogger. Not allowed to do that here. Just not allowed. Go to TalkShoe. Find a way to get there. Check me out on YouTube. Check me out on Twitter. But let me tell you a real quick thing. And this isn't bragging. This isn't advertisement. Just to let you know, this gentleman named Joe Chance, is a professional blogger. And all of his income right now that he's generating is from internet marketing. I'm not going to say anything else other than that. Joe has been I believe, a former Marine. He was an attorney. He's done numerous careers, and he's worked with Fortune 500 companies. This man is 100 encyclopedias of information, and you can get this information 1,000% free. All you need to do is call and listen in or download the podcast from TalkShoe.com, Humanity Matters Podcast. But I'm going to give you something today that cost me money personally. I want you to learn how to be a professional blogger. And I will tell you, you can do that today. And you can do it 1,000,000% free. Here's what you do. You go on to blogger.com and you create a blog. Don't worry if you don't know how. They gave you step-by-step instructions. And if that doesn't work, you could even go to youtube.com and look up how to create a blogger blog. So you go to Blogger and you create a blog. Let's call it IneedMeSomeMoney.com. Whatever you want. I mean, I need me some money. It doesn't matter. But the point is, you create this blog. And then your job is going to be learning how to generate traffic to the blog. And then you're going to want to join what is called affiliate networks that don't cost you anything. Some of the ones that I know is LinkShare. And then there's another one, Media 970. Then there's another one, Commission Junction. So you go to places like that. And what happens is companies, well-known companies that you know, like Walmart, Target, who knows? You name a company, well, what they do is they pay you to generate traffic from your blog to their website, and every time you generate traffic, you actually make a percentage of income if they buy. I see that, 5 minutes. So this is how you can start, at least in theory, earning an income online. Keep in mind, there are millions of other ways of doing it. Well, maybe not millions, but a lot. But that's something free that you can do right now by going to Blogger or even WordPress.com. Right now, you can start a blog. My sister Diane can start a blog. I will go and personally meet with Diane and help her to start a blog if she's willing to do it. Now, I'm going to give you something else that cost me money to learn. I bought a book and I learned that you can use Twitter once you have your affiliate links and you've signed up, you have your blog and you started your affiliate links and yada, 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 and you have your domain name if you choose to have one, which you will eventually want to have. Once you have all that, you can go to Twitter and you could write something, for example, on your Twitter. You could tweet, hey, I just found out, there's this great deal on these pair of shoes. And then you put your affiliate link there. And when you do that, every one of your followers will see your tweet. And every one of their followers will see your tweet. And if any of them click on it, click through and buy that item, guess what? You get paid. Now that information I just shared with you cost me money to learn. Why did I give it to you? Because I am serious. I want to change our lives. Now, I like professional sports teams, but they're not going to change our life. I like when they bring jobs to Pittsburgh or wherever. That's not really going to change our life. A job will never make you wealthy unless you do the things from the automatic millionaire. So yeah, I want you to get those books. And you know what? I haven't done this yet. But maybe I'm going to give you a book list, possibly in December. Maybe my gift to you will be materials you need to read. I'll give you a list. And believe me, it will be extensive. And then when I blog it on humanitymatters.org, I might put the list in the text. And in addition to that, I might even put links directly to where you can get it. I want you to become free. But the first way to become free is to rethink everything. With that, look, there's other things I could talk about. That's not important. What is important is you get online, you find a way, you overcome that obstacle, and you get this information, and you stay in tune with me, and you email me at lbiz22h@gmail.com. Because guess what? You have somebody in your corner just thinking about your pocketbook, your health, and your life. And that's who I am. But in the meantime, I know I seem uppity. I'm not trying to be uppity. I want you to realize somebody is trying to help you save your life. So in the meantime,
it's very important that you listen
don't worry about
to
that.
Al's
Don't worry about
podcast.
that. Well, you can say it, but don't worry about that. We got to clear out.
All right.
But it is very important, right?
Right.
You want to say anything else? You got 30 seconds.
Me and Al are trying to help you to improve your lives and to become financially independent as best you can. So it's very important that you check out his humanitymatters.org website and his podcast and everything that he's been talking about becoming financially free.
And then real quickly, you don't have to pay for anything, so don't worry about it. But remember that you and humanity and all forms of life really does matter.
Among you, my mother, my sister, my brother, we must have love for each other if we want to be free. And if we want to save the planet, we must help the people on it. A friend of sinners holds the keys to liberty. And change down here begins within you and me. He went up against right-wing religion and tried to teach us what's really true. Standing up for peace and freedom, he warned us not to do what they do. Like we want to be treated, ourselves is the way to treat our sister and brother, and those who teach otherwise.